May 15, 2023. Good day all. This is a message from Sierra Victor. We continue with our current program based on a book named Spy Secrets That Can Save Your Life by Jason Hansen as a baseline. The information, techniques, and skills is applicable and adapted to the high crime environment in South Africa. Chapter 7. Counter Surveillance. Part 2. I'm under surveillance, now what? It's not just enough to determine if you're being followed. The person who is pursuing you must be confronted. One technique is to make them aware that you know that they are following you. This can be done as easy as turning around and looking the person in the eye. You can even walk up to him or her and ask them directly about their intentions. Ideally, this must be done in a public area with a lot of witnesses or at least CCTV cameras. Criminals don't like being confronted, let alone being known. There are 5 simple tactics intelligence officers use to run counter-surveillance. You don't need to be a government operative with years of experience to use these steps. They are easy to execute, and may keep you out of serious danger. Tactic 1, the pause and turn. When a person is following you with the intent to do you harm, the pause and turn can be a very helpful way both to determine if you are under surveillance and to let the person know you are aware of what she's doing. While you are walking, simply pause, turn around, and pretend to do something like check your phone, tie a shoe, or turn around as if you were looking for someone. Then look directly at the person you think is following you. Your typical amateur who is following you is going to get flustered and give herself away. He's likely to freeze or act unnatural because you have caught him by surprise. In other words, someone who is following you will not exhibit the same natural behavior as someone who is simply walking down the street. Tactic 2, the acknowledgement. As mentioned, once you have determined that you are being followed, it's important to let the person know that you are aware of what they're doing. Once a potential threat is acknowledged, most criminals will leave you alone. Remember, criminals are looking for ideal victims, and by acknowledging that you are aware of their presence and that they are planning to do you harm makes you a less appealing victim. By seeking the help of a security guard at a department store, for example, is a good tactic as it immediately draws another person who can later testify into the situation. Tactic 3, don't be a soft target. Don't be an ideal victim. Exhibit a sense of strength, walk tall, and keep your head up. Call someone and discuss in an obvious and audible manner that there is a person following you. Don't be afraid to have your tactical pen out and ready to use. Remember that when criminals are shown pictures of people they'd attack, they choose people who look weak or like they're not paying attention, with their heads down and shoulders slumped. Tactic 4, stay public. If you've determined that someone is following you, it is essential that you do not go home. It may seem like home is a safe place as you can lock the doors, call for help, etc., but this is the absolute last place you should go. You never want a criminal to know where you live. The criminal may try to break into your home, or he'll give you the impression that he has gone, when ultimately he is hiding and preparing to break in at a later time. To ensure your safety if you are under surveillance, stay in a crowded, public place, and call for help. Safe places include restaurants, cafes, busy stores, and crowded street corners. You never want to walk down an alley or isolated street where you may end up closed off from other people, making it easy for a criminal to hurt you. If you're being followed in a public place such as the grocery store, do not attempt to leave the store and get in your car. All the criminal needs to do is wait at the entrance for you to come out of the store. He can then follow you to your car where he may either confront you or follow you home. Check their shoes. If you're on foot and you suspect you are under surveillance, pay attention to the person's shoes to determine if it's the same person who is following you. It's easy to remove or put on a baseball cap, sunglasses, or other items that may quickly make it harder to identify a particular individual. However, it's not as easy to carry around an extra pair of shoes. The shoes a person is wearing will likely remain the same. Tactic 5, slow down and mix things up. If you've determined that another car is following you, keep driving. Again, never go home if a car is following you. Change speeds and make multiple turns to let the follower know you are aware of him. When you are able to safely do so, note the make and the license plate number of the car so that you can give this information to the police. When you have a high threat level. If you have a tumultuous relationship with an ex-husband or a boyfriend who is harassing you all the time, or you've had a disagreement with a former employee or co-worker, you may want to proceed as if you have a high threat level. You should also operate on a high threat level if you have suspicions about a person you've been noticing on a regular basis. Is there someone outside the gym every time you leave after a workout? Are you suspicious about someone who seems to get coffee at the same place and the same time as you do? If you are operating on a high threat level, there are a few additional precautions that it's important for you to take. Change your behavior. If you are concerned that a specific person may want to follow you, make a point to continually change your patterns. This can be difficult, as we are creatures of habit and it's hard to break our routines. To ensure your safety, it's crucial that you mix up the routes you take as well as the order of your activities. Vary the time you leave the house in the morning. Change the route and timing of your commute. Mix up your activities. If you buy coffee at the same coffee shop every day, vary your routine so that you're hitting different places at different times. Visit restaurants you haven't been to before. Take a different route home from work. Minimize your social media information. Don't take pictures or selfies of easily recognizable landmarks, restaurants, etc. Do not check in at destinations on Facebook. Counter-surveillance is in essence just normal situational awareness and common sense. It takes some effort to start thinking like a criminal, but it is worthwhile to do so in order to identify your own flaws, weaknesses and mistakes. A lot more finer tricks and tips can be shared, but it defies the point, as these tricks and tips might fall in the wrong hands and just wizen criminals. The idea is to flex your mind and develop your own initiatives. Here are some additional tricks of the trade. Common nature of habit for special agents when visiting a restaurant would be to sit with a view on the entrance, and as close to the kitchen as possible. The kitchen will always have a back door to be used as an emergency escape should it be necessary. The agent will also immediately after being seating, excuse themselves to go to the restroom and en route sweep the restaurant for any recognizable threats or suspicious people. When traveling between airports and making use of car rental companies for local transport, white or silver rentals are preferred and of the most common model in the area. When dressed, normal gray colors are chosen and no real agent will have any tattoos on his body, and if he has, he won't let it show. The same applies for eccentric hairstyles and color. You don't want to have that when you try to blend in. Thank you for listening or reading this message. We will continue in our next message on Spy Secrets, with Chapter 7. Counter-surveillance. Part 3. Please feel free to use and distribute as needed. Our messages are not by any means enticing you to a revolution of sorts, but rather to equip you with the necessary theoretical background in order to assist local armed forces or police in stabilizing a SHTF situation. Please contact any admin on any Sierra Victor group for our previous material or search for our channel on YouTube. We wish you well. Sierra Victor.